Welcome back, troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Let's talk about ESP today. They're doing an exhibition limited edition for 2022. Now, apparently, this is something that ESP likes to do every year now, where they have their custom shop builders create the best of the best that they can do. For example, what you're seeing here on the screen was from last year, 2021. I'd never heard of these before until Matthew pointed them out to me. It's kind of similar to that 50th anniversary Ibanez run of guitars that we documented in both of these episodes. So let's see what beasts they've created. The first one is called the Snapper CTM. Looks like a S-style instrument, however with a little bit of additional flair. So before we read through the spec sheets, it looks like we have some sort of like a spalted maple going on here with a multicolored finish. It's kind of got like a chromatic effect to it. I like that. But then you've got your cutaway right here, so that tells us that's probably like a paper-thin veneer that they've done here. And then they left this alone so they could still do their whole comfort cut. But it's exposing some interesting wood in itself right there. Looks like we have a really solid trem system on that. Only 2 controls with some sort of a switch and then a pickup selector. But I really like the fact that we have wooden pickup covers, not only on the single coils, but also the humbucker. And then if you move up here to the neck, you can tell that's heavily flamed and they have some sort of like a green binding effect going on. The maple fretboard has a lot of figuring going on, as well as some slightly fancier looking dot inlays. But then we get to our headstock, kind of similar to what we saw on the body with a script ESP logo. Then you flip it over to the backside. You've got your comfort cut in the regular location and right here to sculpt away on the back of the guitar. That's kind of interesting how they really extend that from about right here all the way till there and the neck plate area to make it super comfortable to play up there. Matching wooden backplate covers. Looks like Drum City Guitarland got the privilege to sell this one, and it's listed at $14,500. It definitely comes to life a little bit more in the bright light situations rather than the stock photography. That's especially true on our headstock. And here we can see the special medallion that all these are getting. But okay, now I see what they did here. It's a mother of pearl dot inlay, but then they inlay that with abalone in the center. All right, that's pretty nice. So the body is roasted swamp ash, and as I was expecting, that's a roasted flame maple neck with a compound radius. Same thing going on with the fretboard. That's a rosin spalted maple binding. Okay. It's kind of interesting and exotic for a Stratocaster, but I don't know, I think it's got too much going on for my own personal tastes. Guitar number 2 kind of dials it down just a hair. Looks like we have very similar construction on this one, except for you've got more blues and pinks and a little bit more natural finishing within here. Everything else looks roughly the same. The pickups are also the same. They're bare knuckle Irish tour in the neck and middle and the Holy Diver in the bridge. But now take a look at this S-style snapper. This is something that calls my name just a little bit more because we've got some interesting elements in here. We got this cool ghostly green burst going on here, so dark borders but a little bit lighter in the center, but that is also matched with your pickguard at the same time. Kind of reminds me of like an Antigua Stratocaster. But now for the arm contour, we have purple heart wood, including for our pickup covers. That's sweet. And then half of the pickguard is made out of that same wood, so it kind of has a symmetry going on between the cut, the pickups, and the pickguard. But it looks like the pickguard itself might actually just be flamed maple. I thought that just might be a veneer, but no, the side definitely makes that look like the total wooden pickguard. That's interesting. And then of course it's a freak in general because it has humbuckers and it's a Stratocaster. But those humbuckers are Seymour Duncan's SSL 52 pickups. And it looks like we have some sort of a hybrid of the 59 and JB in the bridge. Now the fretboard almost looks like it's also made out of purple heart, which would be really cool, but the spec sheets call it flamed maple, so it just might be stained to look like this. But I really like that headstock because it matches the rest of it. And then you flip it over to the back. Really pinstripey on the back as compared to the top, but I like that this utilizes different figuring patterns. And I really like the exposed wood over here. We even get purple heart tuner tips. So far, this is definitely my favorite. Sadly, I don't think I'll be buying it to document it because it appears to be in China. Here's a different one that's also in China. This one's got more of like the iguana burst going to it. In my opinion, the other one played it off better, but this is also cool, and I really like the dark Honduran mahogany body that's exposed on this. I'm tempted to say I wish this one also had that, but I think at the same time that light colored ash body works well. Now here's another S-type guitar, but called the M2 CTM-NT. So they've got this purple rosin top with a metallic silver burst going on. So that tells me that's going to look very different depending on your lighting situations. Not that we can see it, but the spec sheets call it an alder body. So I'm guessing the rosin part comes from right here. And then I'm not sure what they used to get that design. That's kind of cool when you really zoom in there because you also have like these metal pickup rings and the whole like acid washed pickup covers. It gives it an interesting flavor. I like the fact that the headstock also has that whole ghostly burst thing going on, and the inlay style's nice. But this one has a volute and the carving. It's set neck, and it's got the other contours. It's even string through. It's a pretty cool piece. So it looks like Sweetwater got this one. However, when I contacted them about the ones that they got 2 out of this series. This one wasn't available, so somebody must have already picked it up. I'm not sure how much it would have been. Probably around $15,000 to be my guess. Now this M2 utilizes the same body structure and general setup, except for they've changed the colors just enough and the design on here that I really like this one too. Maybe not something I would buy, but I can appreciate it from afar. I really like the look of the headstock there. And the back, how dark it is. And the colors of the wood blend together nicely too. But now moving on with the M2 series, this one kind of like blends the elements of the first ones we looked at, but then also into the specs of the last one we were looking at. So it's still the whole set neck phenomenon going on here with the same contour carves, but we've got a beautiful body wood here. So it's a mahogany body, like right here in the sandwich, but they're using a cap on the back that's koa. And apparently the binding that they're using here is also koa, so so much stuff going on here. And then we've got like an etched tiki pick guard going on here. You can see your little guys here. I like that one too, because now we've got wooden pickup covers that have been finished over with gold pull pieces. You've got your flame segment right here. But then we didn't even talk about our fretboard. Looks like we got a palm tree theme on that one, and then the Aurora Borealis going on here, and then a watercolored neck. It's got a theme, I'll give it that. That one is available at More Guitars. And it looks like all these get super ultra fancy high-end cases like this one. It says ESP Exhibition Limited. Then you get a cool see-through glass COA on this. That's pretty nice. There's even another tiki guy on their truss rod cover. And oh, look at that brass scallop nut. That's cool. It's a shame we don't have close-up photos of all these yet because, you know, there's some elements that you just don't realize until you see it up close. And now it's time to go crazy. This is their version of a pointy flying V, I guess, known appropriately as the Arrow. So this one's got that rosin drop top stuff going on with some flame maple top, and you've got your cool multicolored pickup rings. Super contoured on the edges, extra sharp. You've got your output jack on the side over here, Randy Rhoads style. But yet this is offset enough that you can definitely get to all the frets without any worries, and ultra carved back here. I don't think I've actually taken a look at one of these before. We've got like reverse Jackson inlays going on here. That's definitely a colorful guitar. It kind of reminds me of a superhero saving the world, you know, because that kind of looks like a map. Whereas this one, very similar things, except for this time we've got some sort of Floyd Rose locking system. And you've got the cool purple inlays. This reminds me of like a mantis or something. That's what I would have called this one. I really like that Carina looking wood back here. And hey, I was right, Limba. Now the big question, do you want the string through or do you want the Floyd? You know, something like this, I think the Floyd kind of works, but this one's based a little bit more within tradition if you really trace this thing back. But now we're getting into a slightly more unique shape called the Stream GT. This particular one's available in Australia, and the first time I ran into one of these was actually the Miku signature guitar. I was actually going to buy one of those, but I couldn't get one of the limited edition ones. And if I was going to do it, I had to make sure it was that. But unfortunately, I couldn't. But I like the shape. It's kind of like Explorer meets Les Paul meets like Jaguar or something. Just really stretched in a unique way, but you've got like two guitars going on here. I guess it's kind of got some St. Vincent vibes to it as well. I'm not sure what came first. But beautiful quilt maple. Apparently the neck is made out of a wood called Nara. I haven't heard of that before, but it's figured and it looks nice. Got your ebony fretboard. You've got those cool Epiphone Sheraton-like inlays that are a mix between abalone and mother of pearl. But for me, I like the tailpiece. It looks like a hammerhead shark. Got your eyes, that's like his teeth or something going on here. The whole face of it is just like inside the guitar, just needs to be sticking out the back or something. He's a friendly little guy. This one does a similar thing, except for we get the rainbow fretboard again and our ocean back, whereas you get all the beautiful koa and all that on the top. It's a little bit less layered, but now you've got actual ridges here. So that's actually stands up kind of like the middle section of a Firebird. And we've got the darker wood binding here. Now we move on to the Mystique CTM. We've got a lot of the same elements that we've been seeing. Multi-rainbow colors with wooden pickup covers, but this time the wooden pickup covers appear to be inlaid, and then from the stock photos, I can't tell what is meant to be in the center there. It almost looks like a tiger from far away. You guys get the privilege of seeing this video edited, so yeah, sometimes it looks better when you can really zoom in. But my best guess is it's a tiger warrior standing up like a human. Flame maple top, flamed on the back, additional inlays. Oh, I really like the additional inlay work right there. That works nice. I'm betting this one's more expensive than the typical 14 to 20,000 examples that we've been seeing. But we go from this to this. I kind of like the color scheme of this one a little bit better. I'm betting they do the whole rosin top when there's like something wrong with the rest of the wood, so they have to just chisel it away and then fill it in. If you don't want all the crazy inlays, I guess this might be one that works for you. But now let's take a look at what they call the FRX. Now that just reminds me of the top mount Floyd Rose system, but no, that's not a top mount Floyd. That's just what they call their BC Rich-esque looking thing. Not my favorite body shape in the world, but that's just my first impressions on this. I've never seen one of these before. So a whole bunch of colors, lots of woods, flamed figuring. We've got those cool inlays that we were seeing earlier. Same thing with the pickup covers. Flip it over to the back. I mean, this one's relatively tame as compared to most other things we've seen. But then we get one in blue. Now this thing, it looks pretty sweet, right? And then they also one-up themselves with a red one. This looks like some sort of metal shred machine. It's not something I would normally play, but it doesn't have any Floyd Rose on it or anything. It's a string through with that. You get this super fancy looking tailpiece, similar to that blue one, but these things are just pretty darn cool. They even have that fancy skull inlay on the center. I would have a hard time choosing between these. And don't ask me how, the same dealer got both of them, Eddie's Guitars, and they're actually on Reverb right now. And I didn't really fall for this model until I saw it here. Eddie's photos really just brought the flame figuring to life. So you get the maple here, and then they transition to another wood before you get to here. And then the back is just insanely quilted. This kind of reminds me of that Dragon Les Paul that we were looking at not too long ago. However, this is, just a little bit different and on a different body style. And it's just fun to appreciate what other manufacturers can do. I like that whole crackled ESP logo. But to be fair here, let's look at the blue one. Not quite as striking, but it's just not as evil looking. Like you could play some smooth jazz on this if you really wanted to. But these are definitely some standout pieces. Now, would I drop $20K to document one? Probably not, but this is not the typical guitar I would buy. And looking up the old 2021 exhibition ones and seeing that some that are still sitting from last year kind of scares me if I'd be able to find a buyer for it later on. So if any of these interest you and you need help like getting them from China or whatever, if I can assist you in that and we can do a new Guitar Day purchase, yeah, I'll document any of these. I don't care. I think it'd be fun. But now we get to the two art pieces of the series. So if you thought those other ones were fun because they played with figured woods, a whole bunch of colors, some sculpting, and a whole bunch of stuff going on, wait till you see these things. This is an altered body Strat that just looks like it's completely made out of metal. At least that's the way it reads to me, hand-carved altered laminate body. So I'm betting this started as like a chunk of wood that they have for like the top, and then they had carved it and then they put it on the guitar, or maybe this just started as a huge big chunk and it's like a relief carving, kind of like the Snakepit Les Paul or something. Except for this is taken to a whole different medium here. So you've got the flames, you've got the skull, that's just coming out at you. And you've got his hands. That's what ESP is known for. Like, they can do some really weird, like, angel guitars and whatnot. Like, they get insane. So everything we've seen here today is relatively tame, but this is kind of like getting more into the high-end art pieces thing. The fretboard, relatively simple. You just have your cross inlays, simple ESP logo on the headstock, and then the back, it's just all that silver metallic gray finish. Floyd Rose, single volume control, and you've got one humbucker. That's a bare knuckles Aftermath pickup. Wow, that's an interesting piece for Crondo Guitars. I've never heard of them, but it seems they specialize in stuff like this. Oh yeah, there we go. $35,000, my friends. But now, from a walnut body, you guys remember those angels we were just talking about? This is kind of along the same specs. We've got some wolves here. I hate it as a guitar, but I like it as an art piece because just look at the detail of that wolf. That is, like, I don't even want this as a guitar. I want that as like a wooden sculpture in my house type thing. Then you flip it over to the back. They did away with all of like the elements as far as like fine carving. Like, they could have took this a whole step further and also have that on the other side, but then that'd be a really thick, chonky guitar. But they just have your regular comfort cuts back here. They didn't do too much with our headstock except for take a couple of bites out of it. We've got an interesting moon pattern here. Okay, I like that. So the circle represents the full moon, but then you have the stages of the moon and, the wolf's going, ho, and whatnot. Yeah, you guys get it. Well, if this was $35,000, I would guess like $80,000. Axe Palace got this. Let's see if they have it on their website. Nope. Nope. Come on, guys. Where's the wolf? They don't have it up yet. It's either that or it already sold. At the same time, it kind of reminds me of a reverse flying V because that's the basic shape right here. So in theory, you could technically maybe take one of those and, sculpt your own wolf guitar if you're skilled enough. So that looks like it wraps up 2022. I'd be interested to know if you guys liked any of these guitars, or if any of them call your name to purchase them. Being in the 5-figure range, there's not a huge market for guitars like these, as much as say like a $300 version LTD, but if nothing else, it lets the ESP luthiers let out some steam and make something truly creative. Alright troglodytes, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.